Hi, I'm Kimmy with On William Street, and we are here to help you become a more confident quilter, from the piecing to the quilting and everything in between. So this week we are working on block 7 of our annual quilt along. So remember, all the information that we're going to talk about today can also be found in a blog post. So you can find the link below the video, and that's going to have everything written out. So the measurements are going to be written there. The blocks we're working on are going to be there. Quilting plans, all the information that you need as we go throughout the quilt along can be found in those blog posts. So don't forget to find that link and head over there and check that out. And while you're on our blog, don't forget to check out our shop and find your next modern quilting project. Now that we have the first 2 rows put together, everything connected, we are halfway done with our quilt and ready to start on the second half. So here is block 7. So this is going to be the 3rd row down on the far left. Let's go over our quilting plan. So as you can see here, I've got this fun, funky flower that we're going to do, and we're going to not do just the center section. We want that flower to really be the focal point of the block. So I'm going to use this whole center square section to do that. Then we're going to mimic that flower in our corners with a few little accents to go around. So to start that flower, we're going to put our needle in the center of the block this time, not on an edge, and we're just going to swirl a close spiral. It doesn't have to be super exact, super perfect. If you find that it's kind of wonky, just keep going in circles until it's not as wonky, and it will look just fine. Then we're going to quilt our petals. So the petals, we're just going to come out to the edge, and we're going to go up along this line, and then just put a little loop in the edge. These are really casual flowers. They're not precise at all, and they're just a lot of fun to quilt. So don't stress over perfection. Just let them be funky and free and have fun with it. Then we're going to put one petal in the middle and then another one along the edge. And I'm using these seams to kind of help keep things secured and centered as we go around. So then we're going to come back out, do another petal, do another set of 3, a third set of 3, and finish them all up. So we'll just do those fun petals all around the center. And these really you can do big, little, like if you wanted to on a different block or something, you can come in and you can do just one big petal here in the corner, then a little one, another big petal, a little one, big petal. So there's a lot of different ways you can mix up this funky flower. From here, I'm actually not going to break thread. I've got these edges here that basically go out to the side. I'm going to use them. So I'm just going to stitch back up the side of one of my petals and just sneak out the side there so that we don't have to worry about breaking thread. And I really like to find things like that. If you're not doing a show quilt, if you're just doing it for your own, no one's ever going to see that little sneak out there. So don't make it harder on yourself than you have to. So now we're ready to do the outside circles. And we're actually going to quilt these all as one motif. We're not going to do each individual triangle. And that's going to make it so we basically have no traveling. So I'm going to start here at the corner, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bump in from the out to the inside on every single one of the triangles all the way around. Yep, now we should be back here. Now we're going to go ahead and work on the outside row. So we're going to go out, down, in and out, then down. Now we're right to where we need to be to do this triangle. The outside, do that little inside line, out and down. Again. Now we've already done this row, we're right to where we need to be here. So we're gonna go down, grab the inside one and be done. Around the outside, grab the inside seam, the outside seams. And you can see now we're moving all the way around, getting all these triangles done without having to break thread or move along or backtrack. And that's one of the reasons I really love these kinds of motifs, is because it makes it so easy to move around the quilt. So now we're here and we're ready to fill in our straight lines. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go back out the side here and then just back and forth. And just have them evenly spaced. It doesn't have to be perfect. From here, instead of going all the way around to over here, we're going to grab this corner. So we're going to come down, do our little ferns, and you're just going to go back and forth, alternating sides. Come down here, grab our little lines out, And then we're ready to do this last corner. So we're just doing a quarter of a flower. So just go back and forth there. And then grab the 3 petals. And you're ready to move over here. The thing I'm going to tell you about this one is make sure that you don't come out into this section. We're pretending like there's an invisible line here. If it's easier for you to actually have that line, you can mark it. You could put a piece of tape here, something to give you that border so that you make sure you don't go past it. Then we're ready to do these lines. Come over, down, do our little vines. Come in, do our 3 lines, out, quarter of a flower. Come down, lines, vines, 3 lines, quarter of a flower. Lines, vines, 3 lines, quarter of a flower. And we are done with the block. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and quilt that funky flower. So I'm going to go ahead and put it not necessarily right in the center. I don't need that spiral to start that close. But we're going to go close to the center and drop my thread in. And then pull that bobbin thread up and take a couple of small stitches just to hold that in place. All right, so now this is going to be a little tricky, keeping the thread out of the way while you're spinning around in a circle. So just do the best you can, kind of try to move it around. If you quilt over the top of it, it's not the end of the world. It just can be sometimes hard to pull back out. So I'm going to go this way. So I'm going to kind of hold it back here out of the way. Now actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it all. I'm going to see if I can kind of bunch it up. I'm going to put it right in the center and see if it will stay there. I probably have to hold it a little bit still, but. And like I said, just kind of go around a few times. If it's not very circular, all right, I think it might stay there now. Just do a few extra times until it's a little more circular. I was wrong, it did not stay there and I made a mess of it. I'm going to pull it out now before it gets worse. Might be beneficial to trim it shorter. We don't need that much later anyway. And we need this one shorter. Okay, and then just get rid of all this. Then we don't have as much to worry about. Okay, that should be easier to keep in the middle. And I probably should have done that to start with. So now you guys can learn from my mistake. Curl that up there. I want my center to be just a little bit bigger. We're gonna go about there. So remember, when we do this, we're going all the way out to the edge of the white. So I stopped here because I want to use this line as kind of the edge of that petal. When we get to the bottom of the petal, we're just going to make a small in and out loop and then back in. Then come up and do one in the middle and then one over there on that side. So just keep going around the flower till you have all 4 sections filled in. And then I did say in the quilting plan I was going to stitch along the line to come out to the outer section, but I've decided that I don't want to do that. I'm not as close as I thought I would be on the tips of these petals. So I'm going to go ahead and just break the thread and then move out to the outer triangles. Now that I moved and I have my thread pulled up, I'm ready to go ahead and do the outer sections. Remember, we're going to do this bump all around the outside first and then go back and catch the rest of them. So we're just going to go bump to bump all around that center section. All right, now that we're back to the start, now we're going to do the outside one. So I'm going to go along the outside and then crowd the inside and then just work my way around the whole section. Now that that is done, we're ready to move to the outside. So first we're going to go ahead and put some straight lines there. So I'm just going to go out to one of the edges. And I'm just going to put them about a ½ inch apart. I do want to make sure that I've got one kind of going down the center here, but other than that, we just want to kind of evenly space them. Now that we are to the corner, we're going to fill in the corner unit before we move over to the next set of straight lines. So we're going to go down the side here just to that connecting bar. Once we get to the bar, now we're going to do our little vines. So you're just going to do the little loops, loop out, then back in, out, back in, out, back in, alternating as you go across the bar. Now we're going to go ahead and just move along to the edge. We're going to sew along the edge of that bar to get to the center triangle. And now in this triangle, this is where we're going to go ahead and just sew out and then back in, sew the 3 lines. So you're going to space them about a quarter, divide it into about quarters to space these lines throughout. Now go ahead and just trace back down that same line to get back to the point. And then we can continue along that edge out to the next side. Now we're going to go ahead and put that last flower in the corner. So I'm going to sew along the next edge just a little bit before I put that first center in. So I'm just going to arch back and then just go ahead and fill that in with little arches back and forth. What this is going to do is it's going to look like we quilted that spiral without having to actually quilt the entire spiral. Now we're going to go ahead and put in the first petal, but make sure that you're coming in enough that you're not going to be in that 1/4 inch that we're going to have in our binding. Also, you want to make sure you're not coming past this line. We want it to just be in the corner and not to extend farther than we intended. Now we're just going to move out and go along the edge, finish along that side, and move over to the next section. Now that we are to the next corner, we're just going to repeat that same process, moving down and doing the connecting bar first with that little vine. From here, just repeat for the last 2 corners. Now we are done with block 7. So we did some funky flowers, practice some vines, learn some new motifs there. So just have fun with it. Don't forget these flowers, they're not meant to be formal. They're meant to kind of be freehand and just fun. So just enjoy the process as you're putting those in. Don't stress it too much. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can also find all the information in the blog post. Don't forget to check that out, the links below the video. So that's going to take you through the quilting plan and all the information that you need, plus some tips and things for free motion quilting. So as you're setting up your machine and getting ready to do that, that will all be there. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. And don't forget to check out our shop for your next modern quilting project. We'll see you next time.